everybody, and welcome to Wine Library TV. I am your host, Gary Vaynerchuk, and this is The Thunder Show, aka WLTV, and we have a very interesting, intriguing, and profound episode for you today. Still, only 3 Thundercats on the table. Where is the love from the Vayner Nation? Maybe when I get back from Idaho and LA. Oh wait, I am actually back. I know it's Tuesday, but taping on a Thursday because I'm still in LA. I'm probably in the air right now. Actually, I took the red eye. I just got in at 5:24 in the morning today. Kosher wines. Are these the most overlooked wines in the world? Maybe, maybe not. But what has happened in the last 36 months has erased decades and years and centuries of atrocious, crap-ass, disgusting, awful, dirty, unacceptable, undrinkable, pitiful efforts in the kosher wine section. And so what's very interesting is, can you do it in 36 months? Can you change the wine world that you've been in 36 months that's been going on for a long time? Maybe not. You know, WLTV is trying to do that in the global wine world. The kosher wines that are coming out today are trying to do that. And I've got 3 very serious kosher wines. Price points that I don't think a lot of people realize. And these wines, supposedly, we're about to find out, are not your grandpappy's Manischewitz. So I'm very excited about doing this show. I'm very excited about trying these wines. And I'm just very curious about the overall quality of these 3. So we'll get to that in 1 second. I just want to give a big shout out to all the new Vayniacs. We are moderating new people at a feverish pace. If you're a new fan within the last 2 weeks, give yourselves a big clap up. And in the comments today, post newbie, because I want to give you a personal little love from the GB. Oh, don't do that. Don't start calling your name. And I don't want to go third person. Other than that, things are good. And I just appreciate all the love that's coming out. As long as everybody is healthy, I am happy. The Jets football season on its way. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Is this Friday night? Jets Giants? That's going to be war. Mott, you're a Giants fan.
October. That's the one that counts.
Yeah, the October regular season Jets Giants this year. That is going to be war. And now, speaking of war, let's talk about the Pardess Hevron. So this is the Hevron. Now, who's the producer? Hevron Heights, right? This is the Hevron Heights Pardess, which is a Merlot, 13.5% alcohol content, and oh, Lionel. Let's give it a little bit of a whirl. So this wine is $25 US. It is a product of Israel. We've got 2 Israeli. This is Israeli as well, right? Yep, it's also Hevron Heights. 2 Hevron Heights, huh? Very intriguing. 2 from Israel, 1 from California. Today's show. Israel is starting to produce tremendous wine. Seriously, not only solid. You know, I think a Kassel. There's some serious wines starting to come out of Israel, kosher and non-kosher. We're going to save that episode coming up pretty soon. That's a very intriguing episode because there's some really kick-butt stuff coming out of there. Obviously, the kosher process with the blessing of the rabbi. I mean, there's a lot of people that are not Jewish, so a lot of people feel they don't need to drink kosher wines. I totally understand that. But what I also understand is where there is misconception, there is opportunity. And, almost breaking glasses. Mazel tov, but that would have been classic. There's opportunity, and these wines are pretty pricey, $25, $24, and $70 US. But in this $20 range, there could be opportunities for wines that really would go for $30, $40, $50 if it didn't have the cloud of kosher holding over it. So the cloud, the CK, not the CKCs, but the CK, the cloud of kosher. Or is that COK? Is that cock? Is that COK? The cloud of kosher is an obvious and always present aspect to these wines. Really dark color. Again, Merlot. Bringing Merlot back is always fun. 18 months barrel aged. So very intriguing and profound. Very awkward little nose this Merlot has. The first thing I'm picking up on this is kind of like a sanitation, like when you go to the men's room and you get the soap, because a lot of dudes don't wash their hands. It's crazy. Have you ever noticed? It scares the piss out of me. Anyway, it's got a little bit of a soapy smell, but cheap soap, the stuff you buy at Costco or the stuff that's supplied in Giant Stadium, a.k.a. Jets Stadium. Here come all the comments. Get your own stadium, jerk off. I went my whole life with that.
You'll have to build it when you own them.
That's right. We'll put the Jetstone, the greatest stadium in the world. Let's give this a whirl. Wow. Not what I expected at all. 2002 vintage. Again, soapy with a little bit of like dirty plum. Really like a plum plopped in like like sand, and you dug it out and you kind of did like the 2-second rule at the beach. You dropped a plum on the beach and you kind of like did the 2-second rule and did it anyway. That's kind of where this is going on the nose. Then on the flavor profile, it gets extremely old school. I mean, pre-Run DMC on your palate. And it's really quite dry and austere. Tastes like a lot of 84 cabs, 83 Bordeaux's. There was a style in those two vintages, very interesting vintages in my opinion, very under the radar vintages, separately. This wine gets extremely what the hell was that? This wine gets extremely dry and tannic on the finish, almost like a roasted meat component on this wine. I don't want to go venison, but it almost tastes like a steak on the finish. Very different, very dry, very intriguing. Really tastes like real Merlot. It's nice to see Merlot that didn't take on the crazy oak component. So even though it's 18 months in oak, I have a feeling that it wasn't new French oak. See, one of the things, here's a little fun fact. When you use oak barrels to age your wine, most wineries use 100% new oak or 50% new oak, or then they use second-year oak. A lot of times for a secondary wine, usually the big wine gets 100% oak. People use third-year oak, fourth-year oak for smaller wines. I feel like this is a second, maybe even I almost feel like this is a third aged oak, which they buy in the secondary market because at that point, you're not extracting as much of the vanilla and oak flavors from the bottle. I'm really not getting an awful lot of oak. I'm spending an awful lot of time in this wine, though. Let's go 88 points on this wine. It's solid. For 25 bones, it's a major pass. I mean, 25 may be my favorite number, because let's throw it up for... And get used to this name, folks. Bring out your pen. Kerry Hollywood Rhodes, the best safety in the NFL. I'm calling you out, Ed Reed. Kerry Rhodes, Mott. 3 picks against your Eli punk, who is so overrated. Let's move on. Hevron Heights, Syrah, $24 US. Did I say 24? Is that the number? What vintage is this wine? This is a 2003 Hevron Heights Syrah Reserve, and it's $24 US. And should I mention that is... And Mott's choking over there over the comment I made about Eli. He didn't like that very much. 24, the number of the Jets' first-round pick, Mr. Darrell Revis, who's going to be dominant from the University of Pittsburgh, where Curtis Martin's from. And you're starting to get a sense that I'm starting to get in football mode. I'm sorry, but I'm awfully excited. $24 US, very dark. Definitely a dark wine. Maybe not as dark, though, as a lot of the other Syrahs that come. Definitely not out of Australia. It has a little bit more of traditional Syrah colors from 6-7 years ago. Pre the Australian explosion, maybe even 10 years ago. Getting old. Getting old, Mott. Now, this wine smells awful. It's very, very, discouraging. I don't feel comfortable with this nose, because this nose does get into the really rotten garbage at 3 o'clock in New York City, walking through the alley, and that girl just threw up to add to the nuances. 3 o'clock in the morning, girls start throwing up in the alleys. It gets really dangerous in NYC. There's already the junk. There's a banana peel. That's all going on in this nose. And then that's that. It almost also has Aunt Jemima pancake syrup components on the nose as well, but much more towards the garbage and the vomit, and that's really making it difficult. But I'm sure it's going to taste great. Let's see what happens. They all do the same thing. classic example of where the nose and the flavor profile are completely different. I really like the mouthfeel of this wine. It's pretty silky. It's also dry, and it does have an almost asparagus-like spice component to it on the mid-palate. I like the integration of fruit. The body weight is quite intriguing. It's got a nice long finish. It's dry on your finish. There's little subtleties of almost like dried cranberries. Yeah, I love when I really nail it. And that's exactly what's going on here. You know, people buy the dried cranberries for like $80 at Whole Foods. Anyway, nice dry, nice dry cranberry component. Also a little meaty. A little bit more towards the Rhone style than you would get out of California or Australia. Not a bad Syrah. Again, not super getting me crazy on it, but definitely an 89-point wine. 24 bucks. I'd probably say pass, but if you got to drink kosher wine for the holidays that are coming up in September, this is definitely a wine that is a quality wine drinker or somebody that likes wine is going to enjoy. Overall, it's bringing some decent components to the table, and I can't fault it. And now we're going to move on. The Cabernet 2005 Cabernet Sauvignon from Napa Valley. And this is a big wine. This is made by Jeff Morgan and Leslie Rudd. The Leslie Rudd from Dean and DeLuca and Rudd Estates, and just, you know, Leslie being a man's first name, just so you know. Jeff Morgan, tremendous producer, $70 US. And this wine is rated 90 to 92 points. Robert Parker, which is very high for a kosher wine, obviously, getting that kind of attention. 70 bones, a lot of money. A lot. Was Leonard Marshall number 70? Another jet giant combo guy. Much more known for his jet career. Anyway, let's get into this wine. Napa Valley. Big shout out to everybody in Napa. Was just there a couple days ago, last week at this point. Very intriguing nose. Very, very different. Very spectacular, really, in its approach. Almost like a firecracker. That's the first thing that came to my mind. It's like an explosive kind of... I almost want to go with watermelon, raspberry sorbet on the nose. So it's very different. Very... Oh man, I can tell you, this smells exactly like something. I can't get it. I'm not going to be able to get it. God darn it. It's really artificial, actually, and usually I hate that, but there's something about this component on the nose that reminds me of something. I'll try to remember. I just can't. Let's move on. Let's give it a whirl. This wine tastes very strange to me. It's coming across anything but Cabernet-like. It's medium body instead of full body. It's got watermelon Jolly Rancher flavor components, which is something you don't expect from a Cabernet at all. I'm very baffled by this wine. Really, I am. I find it a little thin, too, which is not what I expected. It's easy drinking, but boy, is this really maybe the disappointment of the last 6 months. This wine is very thin and really does taste, in my opinion, like a very subpar, under $10 wine from California. So I'm really struggling with this wine. I'm really struggling for 3 reasons. One, this is like the benchmark of where the New World kosher wines are going. 2, it's $70 and it's rated 90 to 92 by Parker. 3, I've adored the last 2 vintages of this wine in a row, and this is not a bottle variation issue at all. This is not corked or has any flaws. This is insane to me. I'm going to score this wine 69 points because it really honestly tastes like an under $10 Rodney Strong Cabernet. It's that thin, that fake. I'm in shock for the first, pure shock for the first time on Wine Library TV. Question of the day. Have you ever had a kosher wine that's priced above 20 U.S. bones. Because you, with a little bit of me, we're changing the wine world, whether you like it or not. I'm completely confused by that last wine.